So we have, I have, used the Wheel of Time to build the reality I want, using the souls of basically everyone and their dog, Amazon, NFL, Swifties, it just goes on and on and on. And of course we've got Sangreal, which amplify the Forsaken's power. But then we've got Terangreal. And remember, every time you use these things, the soul of Robert Jordan and what he wanted to be, he's raised to become Randall Thor, that beats the Great Dark One, and we've explained the Great Dark One. And he's lowered into Omega Hell and wakes up, as in the Brazil film, or Angel Heart. It's just an illusion, and that's just to increase his torture. With Morton Janklow and NFL, Amazon subscribers, Swifties, and oh, the whole European Union population. You got to love this. But if you got Forsaken service, you need to get yourself a Sangreal to boost your awesome power.
Angreal and Terangreal in the Wheel of Time. So in general, Angreal are the objects which allow those who can channel to draw more of the one power than they normally would without harming themselves. Angreal is a much stronger version of Angreal, and in season 1 we saw Moraine giving Ran this little statue. This particular Sangreal is very powerful. It was made before the breaking of the world, and it was created from the one power itself. And Moraine did say that 1,000 male channelers put the entirety of their strength into one object. So when Ran channeled into this little object, it increased his power 100-fold. Now Terangreal is a bit different. It's like a magic gadget that's supposed to amplify either Saidin or Saidar, and it usually serves one single purpose. For example, this Oath Rod is a Terangreal because it can only be used for one purpose. For example, the arches that the White Tower uses to test the Accepted is also a Terangreal. And both of these objects need to be activated by channeling into them. Remember this collar in Season 2 that was used to control a channeler? That's a Terangreal too, and it's called a Dam. The Shanshan people are known to be the only ones who possess the secrets of how to make a Terangreal. These objects are going to be very important in Season 3 because in the first 11 minutes of Episode 1, we were shown the 13th Depository where the White Tower stores its strongest Sangreal and Terangreal. I'm going to make a separate video talking about these objects in the
So all of this is powered by souls. So we've got Morton Janklow, Robert Jordan, all who subscribe to Amazon, including Bezos and his hag, sow wife. All the Swifties, all the NFL fans, all the European Union population, and anyone else who's stolen from me. So as you can see, all of these souls are screaming in hell, and they of course are shelled, which means that the Clipothic realm, the realm of shells, is open to the vampires who are vampiric avatars of the Psylord, who, as one of his aspects, is Kalki. But anyway, that's what's powering this. So, since we've broadened and I'm using all of the noosphere to increase my power, and we're now in my reality, which has been paid for by the eternal torture, the source level of Morton Janklow, Robert Jordan, all the publishing house, Amazon, and European Union population. I expect most of the American population subscribe to Amazon Prime. Bezos has been my Mephistopheles to get you to sign on the dotted line to sell your soul for eternal torture to power me. So thank you, Bezos. And as a reward, you've got an old hag, sour wife, who gives me impotence when I look at her. But as I say, she must be pulling all your strings to get you to beg like a dog when you're on your lead. So in the noosphere, the most powerful sangreal amplifier of psychic power is the One Ring, which preceded my stolen book, which got embellished into 14 books, Exchange Ritual, to allow me to reap and harvest basically all the souls of the West. The most powerful sangreal was this.
The world is changed. I feel it in the water. I feel it in the earth. I smell it in the air. Much that once was is lost, for none now live who remember it. It began with the forging of the great rings. 3 were given to the elves, immortal, wisest and fairest of all beings. 7 to the dwarf lords, great miners and craftsmen of the mountain halls. And 9 rings were gifted to the race of men who above all else desire power.
I can fully corroborate that. I desire power. You can't get enough power. They can take your money away, but if you've got the power, you can simply lay waste to the planet and take what you want. A la Genghis Khan, Stalin, and the rest of them. So the One Ring which I wear is powered by all of the souls of anyone who's watched Lord of the Rings and has agreed to the contract that their source level torture powers me to have the One Ring by simply watching or reading the books or films of Lord of the Rings or playing the games. And you might go, well, Chip, that's a bit optimistic. No, because remember, he bet with Lucifer and he lost with Perry, who married Russell Brand, who's off to court in the summer for raping, and of course had Daisy Dove, who is a portal to Iris Goldsmith, and in fact is a shelled lump that broadcasts Iris Goldsmith, crushed like a flea, and your ramblings have no effect on reality, into reality for me. So gaining Lucifer's power allowed me to have the power to build contracts. I simply stuck contracts into books and films and social media and games, and you accepted this by buying the book with your money or reading it or accepting the terms and conditions of whatever, or going to the cinema to watch Lord of the Rings. So you can go, well, I didn't give my full permission, I didn't give my light, I don't need your full permission, like with Amazon, where you to agree to, blah, 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 for the Wheel of Time, which I created. I simply reveal the method to you, and I torture your soul to source level to power my One Ring, the most powerful Sangreal in creation, and of course you can simply say, no, I'm not accepting that, not having that, but if you don't, then you accept the contract. Revelation of the method. That's how it works. And how am I revealing the method? Well, on YouTube. Well, you've got so many views. Yeah, I might stretch to get 100 views, but you'll need 100th monkey. That's how the occult works. So let's go on to look at these sangreals and angreals, which we broadened to the remit of the Lord of the Rings world, which is brilliant.
Found the strength and will to govern each race. But they were all of them deceived, for another ring was made. In the land of Mordor, in the fires of Mount Doom, the Dark Lord Sauron forged in secret a master ring to control all others. And into this ring he poured his cruelty, his malice, and his will to dominate all life. One ring to rule them all. One by one, the free lands of Middle-earth fell to the power of the ring. But there were some who resisted. A last alliance of men and elves marched against the armies of Mordor, and on the slopes of Mount Doom, they fought for the freedom of Middle-earth. The power of the ring could not be undone. It was in this moment, when all hope had faded, that Isildur, son of the king, took up his father's sword. Sauron, the enemy of the free peoples of Middle-earth, was defeated.
Unfortunately for everyone else, yours truly has recreated the One Ring to amplify his power. One of his aspects being Kalki. So World War III is a go. Let's go for it. So you can see with the psi and the conscious verse, anything that the humans create and gets mass observation can be used as a power source and used to entrap the souls of the observer. And remember, the whole process needs loving evil and hating good. So let's be honest, how many of you would crave the One Ring to be able to do anything you damn well pleased? Loving evil. I love evil. Yes, 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 yes. How many of you hate good, which is people that would try to stop you getting what you want to rule them all. See, it's very, very subtle, the demonic infestation from this Illuminati author, Tolkien, who of course was a Freemason too, and the One Ring preceded the Wheel of Time, so in fact it's like a pyramid selling scenario where the Wheel of Time simply pays money into feed the top of the pyramid. Top of the pyramid, of course, is Lord of the Rings, and whoever wears the One Ring rules them all. Hence Robert Jordan died by my hand with remote manipulation. I manipulated him into Omega Hell, as with Morton Janklow and a whole host of others, so their souls were included in the contract. Well, you want fame and fortune, Robert Jordan, by stealing my manuscript, so write it for me, and since you wrote it, the book and anything made from the book and anyone who profited from the book is a Faustian contract where you sell your soul to observe it. So you can see why I made a deal with Lucifer to gain his power, and thanks to Katy Perry and her Iris Goldsmith portal to Omega Hell, Daisy Dove, job done. Thank you very much. And World War III is coming to a town near you. So, with the souls of, well, at least 1 billion people just from Amazon, thank you Bezos and your old hag wife, I can build to Angrial, which is to give humans who have no psychic powers the ability to get into the penultimate Grail state, the Metatronic Grail state we talked about with the Forsaken, with a Nazgul ring. And the Nazgul ring gives you all the powers and potentials of the Nazgul, who are wicked black magicians and didn't die, but instead became wraiths, which is basically moving the assemblage point from the top of your head into the throat position, which is a power center from shamanism, with your biophysical body having the assemblage point in the center, and the Nazgul ring does this to you and gives you the arts of a black magician and the ability, if you have a wicked, wicked heart, to become a ring wraith, a Terangriel, all powered by the billions of souls tricked into signing their souls away to me via the Robert Jordan, Morton Janklow flytrap, and raised to source level by the Randall Thor character in the book, and then via Brazil and Angel Heart, waking up in Omega Hell, realizing it was just an illusion. And you begin to see the conscious verse God tech behind what I've been doing. Isn't it fun? So all of you with a Nazgul ring can activate it in the same way as the Forsaken, and you simply need to stick into the Grail state one of these videos. Give me the ring race. Why can we see them? Because their assemblage point in their physical body has been moved inwards, and if you move into the center, you vanish. So with the Nazgul, you have it halfway between the top of the head and the center, so you still have physical actuality, but in fact you are a wraith, a biophysical being that feeds off the love of evil, one of the two pillars of bleeding the source, now paid for by the IOU of the thieves. So these would be, in fact, the Psi Lord's version of demonically possessed super soldiers. Whole new God tech science that I've created, because I'm a super genius, and all in your one ring. And how do we power our one ring Nazgul ring? Because remember, they all come from the one ring. Well, how do you power up? You simply revolve round fountains. Revolve round 12 times to suck up energy, and 24 times to make it a standing wave. And do it 89 times, 89 days worth, to link up to the tarot demons that were the control mechanism of the Elohim. Simple as that. So you need to go revolving round fountains every day, day upon day, and simply doing that will allow you to have silent knowledge of black magic, and will make you less and less human until eventually you become a ring wraith, if you've got a ring. Remember, Colin Bloor was fooling all the New Agers to pump all their goodness, their light into the fountains, so the grid, the Freemasonic grid, could make the Elohimic control grid stronger and stronger, the matrix of the manosphere. But with the anti-fountain group, you do the opposite. You simply go around every fountain you can find and bleed it dry, and all the light that's donated to the interdimensionals via the process I talked before comes to you, and the world around you becomes more and more hellish in your vicinity, with the fountain broadcasting the hell wave of hell on earth to turn whatever Freemasonic country you're into a hellhole. And the more the scum in the hellhole suffer, the more they are suffering the IOU of the Psi Lord to power me and my vampires, who can wear to Angrial, or if you're Forsaken, use Angrial and Sir Angrial. It's very, very simple. So we've got to Angrial to give the
Elven kings under the sky, 7 for the dwarves in their halls of stone.
The dwarf rings give you riches. So if you're money mad and materialistic, you want a dwarf ring. It's actually a triangrial. To give you the magical power of making money and gaining possessions, control over the material world, while the ring wraith ring turns you into demonic black magicians whose power is unstoppable by the human psycho monkeys. But if you want material wealth and be able to succeed in whatever materialistic endeavor you're doing, the dwarf rings power that so that you're unstoppable. Elohim ring, this raises you to godlike power and gets people Jesusing themselves for you. So all of your enemies who are trying to stop you do themselves in. Because remember, Jesus thought he was working for God, but he didn't realize that God was a parasite stealing off the source. So with the Elohim ring, you gain godlike powers, which of course has nothing to do with money, because the Elohim don't care a shit about the materialistic, the dwarf ring, and they don't care a shit about the Nazgul, which are about being black magicians and extending their lifespan massively. What they want is to write the book, like Chuck in Supernatural. And when the plot goes awry and their book starts not doing what they want and even threatening them with being written out of their book, they need Jesuses to die for them, so the plot in the book puts them back on top and they gain control of the plot in the book. That's the Elohim in a very short soundbite. And remember, you're not in base reality now, you're in a matrix, a very low matrix. But remember, we talk about the leveling of matrices down, 1 to, total power set, down, 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 but we've never talked about going across. So, well, the matrix can go down, but it also can go across. So, you might be on the Googleplex matrix from base reality, but, there's a whole plane of books on that matrix, not just one matrix, but a whole Googleplex of books on that plane, and you can simply step across to the book where you're the god in this matrix, and then import it into the matrix so that whatever you want to happen happens, and the more you want it to happen, the more people die for you as Jesuses to make what you want happen. That's all done with the triangrial of the Elohim ring. So that one is well worth having. I have one of them, but I've got the one ring that controls them all. at incepted within it. Vecna ring, and this gives you all the power of Vecna, powered by all the souls of the audience of Stranger Things and Netflix and anyone associated with that. Because Robert Jordan set the contract. He steals from me, so I can steal from anyone that watches what might be included in the Wheel of Time. Which embraces a whole host of things. Angriel, the most powerful, the One Ring, and of course all these psi powers, and breeding Forsaken, and the use of the one power by the Aes Sedai before their fall, which is all the Stranger Things stuff, experimenting in laboratories to produce psi-able individuals. And of course we've got Universe B, into this, which is the occult stuff, which links up with the Dark One and all the black magic that is within that one, the Black Aes Sedai and the Forsaken. So as you can see, the subset of the global set is the Wheel of Time, but because of the self-similarity of chaos, it's self-similar at every level. So if you can hijack and use the souls of Robert Jordan, Morton Janklow, raise him to what, nigh on source level with Randall Thor, and get him to sign a contract by stealing your manuscript, which is a Faustian bargain, then of course you've got the Elohim, because basically it's the flea killing the elephant with whatever it's carrying within it. Remember, chaos, non-linear dynamics, it's self-similar at every level. So if you capture one level, be it the Wheel of Time level from my stolen manuscript, you can go up the food chain and then steal everything of chaos. So every single film, book related to the Wheel of Time is mine, and everyone who watches it signed a Faustian contract for me. So you see now why they've cancelled Wednesday, they've cancelled the new Buffy, and they'll be cancelling every fantasy series out there. Until, of course, they get some control over yours truly. And the only control is getting married to the Pfizer butts like in June. So in the Vecna ring, you get these powers from the Angriel, which is your ring. Do this, but remember, it's all the penultimate grail state, and in with the assemblage point in the center, your biophysical body, you unmanifest, but with the assemblage point on top of your head moving in, you can not only move it in, but you can move it in and laterally to any of these books where you can reach Vecna, so you get psychokinesis, you can change your form, which is talked about in the shift down below to become a beast. And if you move down to the beast level and laterally, you can recreate yourself in this form. All of this totally possible if you have the souls tortured to the level to produce the light to make your quantum information real. And then of course we've got the mirroring to then set it in stone. It's all sophisticated stuff, but I'm just introducing you to a whole new world. If you've got the Ring of Solomon, which is triangular, it gives you control of the entire 72 ranks of demons that you can then stick into any human or use their demonic powers. Remember, they've stolen the light from humans and tortured them in the Abaddon cages to make quantum information real. So the Solomon ring basically allows you to get to the fountainhead of the beam of Satanized light that comes from all these torture souls in Abaddon cages, control all the demons of the Goetia, and then use that demonic light, this black light, which of course the Forsaken use, to make your reality real. And this of course is a triangular too. Let's give you a snippet of the Goetia. You can watch this at your leisure if you've got one of these rings.
Holds a place within a complex infernal hierarchy that has fascinated occultists, scholars, and curious minds for centuries. It is important to note that the information presented in this they represent the power of intellectual transformation, cunning, and the revelation of mysteries hidden in the shadows of the world. Unlike higher now, it is time to delve into the depths and meet these 13 architects of forbidden thought, beginning with the most notable among them. Marbas, the silent watcher of hidden truths.
So, if you've got the Solomon ring, here's all the Goetic demons which you can use. There's the old git looking in his book. Right, he's writing. right. So that's the video for you with your Ta'angriel to control these demons and what they can do. I go into obsessive detail into that. But as you can see, the rings are Ta'angriels to give you low lives who've got zero occult power. The ability to do that. How do we do this, Tim? How do we do this? Tim, I don't know. Yeah, because you're a psycho chimp moron. It's the penultimate grail state. The ring sticks your assemblage point of your biophysical body, your dreaming body, your other, into the center, and then moves your assemblage point in your physical body, inwards, and then along the plane, which we explained, to achieve the powers and potentials of the ring. And remember, since we matricize creation, we can have matrices, low-level matrices, and we've got simply movement in the plane. You go into one matrix, but there could be an infinity of matrix at that level, say level a billionth, 1 billion down, but the population are in the Googleplex matrix, which is way, 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 way down. So you can move in the matrix at 1 billion levels from base reality to achieve what you want, and it's just a matrix, just information, and the populations in the Googleplex matrix way, way down, and then you can simply import yourself as an avatar, an agent, into the world of the so-called humans around you who are descending, because remember their souls have been taken if they're in the West, and they're pulling the rest of the human population, and since self-similarity, all the aliens in the entire universe, multiverse, megaverse, down with them. That's the problem about chaos. If you infect one aspect of it, you can infect all of it, and you can still be in a matrix, but at a much higher level, while they're descending down, down, down. And if you didn't know what a Googleplex was,
talk about the absurdity of the number Googleplex. Before we dive into what it is, we first need to understand smaller numbers and the difference between the actual written number and what it represents. But my document would be 214 trillion
go to Googleplex.
more universes with paper. Because nothing in the entire universe, in all of time and space, can even begin to approach its scale. And that's why the number is so absurd and fascinating. Compare that to the insanely large number that could still be written in just 14 seconds. There are 10 to the 80th atoms in the universe. If I could wrap each atom with my page with 4,680 zeros, I still wouldn't have a Google zeros. I would need 10 to the 16th more universes with paper-wrapped atoms to write all the zeros. So all I have shown until now is just how writing a Google makes sense. Remember the 14 seconds. But counting to a Google, that would take 10 to the 81st times longer than the universe's age. That's the difference between writing a Google and what it actually represents. But what if we tried to count to a Googleplex then? There's simply no point in comparing it to anything, because nothing in the entire universe, in all of time and space, can even begin to approach its scale. And that's why the number is so absurd and fascinating. Thanks for watching.
So let's we've got these absurdly huge numbers, but we can descend matrices to any level.
It's 10 to the power of a Google, 1 followed by 100 zeros. There's a number called a Googleplex. It's 10 to the power of a Google, 1 followed by 100 zeros. There's a number called a googolplex.
To 10 to 100 power. It is 1 followed by 100 zeros. Meanwhile, a googolplex is equal to 10 to a googol power, or 10 to the power of 10 to the power of 100. That is 1 followed by a googol zeros. A googol is equal to 10 to
So, you can see with matrices, you can simply lower it to this insane googolplex level, and the souls in the Abaddon cage have to suffer to this indescribable level to allow you to build that matrix. So the more you lower from base reality, the more the souls have to suffer to allow you to build that matrix at lower and lower levels. Why? Because you're dumping on them the IOU of the light, and you as the new source are gaining it, and the resultant is a matrix at a lower and lower level the more light you acquire from the souls whose avatars are in the matrix which you're making. So their souls are stuck in the Abaddon cages, but they're perceiving the reality in the matrix and suffering to that level to produce new light from the new source. And the more and more you lower the matrix, the lower and lower levels, the more they suffer, and the brighter and brighter the new source becomes, and the transmitter, the messenger, the carrier of all this lovely light to the new source, of course, is Lucifer, built by the Elohim for that specific purpose. And of course, the Lucifer were tricked by me into destroying themselves. Crushed like a flea, the ramblings have no effect on reality. They're in the Abaddon cages, and they are the ones suffering. And Lucifer, of course, as the hidden part of the Elohim, would suffer too, except he deliberately fucked up his bet with me to give me his power in the Lucifer ring, and made himself a conditional slave to me to escape what I was doing to the Elohim, and would only be free if I married the double or quits bet, and Miley's married, so the Taylor Swift marriage allows Lucifer to escape what I did to the Elohim and get his cake and eat it.